Sam was so happy to have discovered from his dad a time travel machine. It was nothing fancy or big, just a watch. You set the time and press a button, and within seconds you whizzed either back in time or forward. He always was a big fan of JFK, but never got to see his inauguration speech, so was very happy to have a chance to travel back and see it and experience it in real life. He put in the time and date, and within seconds he couldn't believe it. He was actually standing in the middle of the crowd listening to John F. Kennedy give his inauguration speech.
Twilight struggle, year in and year out, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, a struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself. Can we forge against these enemies a grand and global alliance, north and south, east and west, that can assure a more fruitful life for all mankind? Will you join in that historic effort? In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
After that, he knew what else he wanted to experience, and that was walking on the moon, so he set the time and place to the rocket just before they took off. His experience was absolutely amazing. Sam felt like he was dreaming when he was actually hiding in the spaceship, ready to walk on the moon as soon as he had the chance. He knew they would be all in spacesuits and had his ready, so that would be also a good way to blend in and not be seen by the others. To be an outsider. Everything was going great until when Sam was walking on the moon. Somehow his time travel watch came off with a gust of air. He hadn't realized until then that it was the rocket taking off to go back to Earth. He watched his time travel watch float off to outer space as he floated the other way, knowing that he had no way of getting back to Earth and would starve to death floating in space.
I was over my friend's house, who I haven't seen in a while. We were bored, so I asked if he wanted to play hide and seek. He said sure. I told him that he can go hide first. He said okay, and I started counting. 3, 2, 1, ready or not, here I come, I said. I started to walk around the house. It was an old and creepy looking house. As I'm walking around the house looking for him, I notice a big picture frame that is crooked, so I go over to it to fix it. But then it falls right over. But there was a secret entrance where the picture frame was that fell. My eyes were wide open, and I think, wow, this is amazing. He must be hiding in there. I enter in, and I just see a bed. It's a mess though, and it smells. But my friend isn't down here, so I went back to where the picture frame was, and I left. So I could continue to look for my friend. I walk further down the hallway, and I find my friend. I see you, I said. He says, oh man, how did you find me? I told him that I just saw him. As we're walking back, I told him that his secret room was pretty cool. He stops and looks at me very weirdly and says, what weird room? He seems to be so serious, so I laugh and tell him, your secret room behind the picture frame, silly duck. His face lit up as if he was frightened. At this point, I knew he wasn't kidding around. He says that we need to get to our parents. So we find my friend's parents, and my friend tells his parents of the secret room. They ask me where it is, so I go and show them it. They told me that this was never part of the house when they brought it. So they call the police. I then go home. I'm getting ready for bed, and right before bed, my friend calls me. He says that the police found out that there was someone living down there this whole time. I asked him, who? He said they're not sure. The man was never caught, but someone was definitely living down there. I think to myself, maybe it's some homeless old man. But then my friend tells me that the person down there had knives and a picture of me and my friend from years ago. It's like he was going to try to kill us, and which means he's been living down there spying on us for the last couple of years. My face lit up in fright and wonder what would have happened to me if he was down there when I went down there while we were playing hide and seek.
Okay, my family are rich, and with us being rich, we can do a lot more activities than the average person. So because we are spoilt with so many options, my family are always at a loss for what activity we should do next. And so we let the monsters in the forest vote for us. So for example, a couple of months ago, my family didn't know which holiday to go on. So we rounded up about 20 animals from our farm and sprayed some colour on them, with each colour representing a holiday. We divided the animals into 4 groups of 5 and led them into the forest. Then it was my turn to shoot out into the forest. We are not sure which holiday to go on, so choose for us. We found that all of the sheep were killed with an X mark etched onto them, and they were with the blue mark. Blue represented Dubai, and so we went to Dubai for a week. Then yesterday my mother shouted out to all of us when she thought she saw someone trespassing into our property. My father went out with a gun, and then he saw a couple of thugs running into the forest. When my father gave some shots into the air, each thug was wearing a different coloured top. My father looked back at us and said, blue top is full English breakfast. Green top is a vegetarian English breakfast. Orange top is going out to a cafe for breakfast. He then shouted into the forest, I can't decide what kind of breakfast I should have, so vote for me. And then we heard one of the men scream. It was the man with the orange top who was found bleeding on the floor with an X mark on his body. It looks like we're all going out to a cafe for breakfast, my father told us.